I'm Anastasia Bartolucci with Point Click Shoot, and this is Reeling in the Stars. Cassie, your book focuses on your life as a jerk magnet. How many jerks have you dated?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't possibly count them. I could write an entire book on just the dates that I've had with jerks. It's a rite of passage that as teenagers we learn how to deal with jerks, but a broken child is often absent for that lesson. And the slime balls have radar to pick up on vulnerable targets.
And I had heard that you had been married twice?
Oh yes, I was married twice, and both of my husbands were engaged to someone else while they were still married to me.
Wow, so that gives you the right of credibility to be a jerk magnet expert.
Definitely, I could tell you a lot of stories. Matter of fact, I'll give you a few. One of the men I dated, I only dated him for a couple of months. Right off the bat, he's sending me texts saying, good night, darling, or good morning, darling, and telling me he was madly in love with me. But I had kind of filtered through a lot of the red flags, and I started feeling a little uncomfortable. I mean, I wasn't ready to be in love with anybody, but just some things that he was doing made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so I confronted him one Sunday evening and said what I thought. It seemed to me he was seeing somebody else. You know, some of the typical signs were there. And when I confronted him, he confessed. And he said he just didn't know what to do because this other woman was such a generous and wonderful woman, and he didn't know which way to go, who to choose. And of course I said, well, let me make it easy for you. Right. Choose her. 4 days later, I heard he flew to Cancun and got married.
Wow.
But let me tell you another story. In fact, let me read to you. I want to make sure that I quote this one properly. I went out with a man who was extremely good looking, very, very handsome, tall, just the kind of man that's a real hunk.
I know the type.
Yes. But this is what he said to me. He says, men are genetically hardwired through evolution to procreate, and therefore we have no control over our urge to be with multiple women. He just went on, and finally he said, men don't cheat. They merely satisfy their innate urges, so one-night stands or affairs have nothing to do with their committed relationships. And so I'm looking at this man and I'm saying, are you kidding me? You're telling me that it's okay for men to cheat. I said, well, what about women? Is it okay for women to cheat? No, he says. Women are also hardwired, but they are hardwired to be monogamous. And so it's totally different.
So it's a complete double standard.
Absolutely. It's okay for men to go out because it's where their genetics bring them. Of course, then I brought up a few things like, maybe genetically back in the cave days, it was okay to do things like that, but, we're educated, we have brains, we have choices.
Exactly, and we've evolved from those primitive days anyway. I mean, it's 2010.
That's right. Well, apparently his brain isn't.
Apparently not.
But to me, players are narcissistic control freaks. They're pros at the art of romance. They spin a web of deception and they pull in vulnerable targets with their romantic dinners, their candlelight, their sensual innuendo and soft music. The players have a game. They've got a target, and they target women. When the women start questioning things, if they start feeling, those red flags, and a lot of times they think it's their own baggage and they don't even want to bring it up. But if they start feeling those red flags and thinking that there's something wrong and they question, the players move on to their next target.
She got too suspicious.
Right, and they've got their whole list and their whole game down. Jerks, on the other hand, are men who kind of get trapped up in situations. Maybe there's something wrong with the relationship. Things aren't going right, and someone at work pays attention to them, and so they feel flattered, and they fall into a trap. They want to cover it up, and they end up being a jerk to the woman that they're involved with.
And then it just becomes a whole snowball effect at that
Absolutely,
point.
absolutely. But there are signs, there are always signs for players and for jerks.
So what exactly are these signs? I have to know.
Okay. Well, for players, you have to look out for the game. Romance is awesome. It's wonderful with a man that you're really in love with. But when somebody puts it out there, the very first thing, and I mean, you can tell, it's a setup and it's a game. For instance, when I started dating a man, he asked me over to dinner at his house. And when I got there, the whole house was drenched in candlelight. Soft music, a fire roaring. He'd made a gourmet dinner for me.
Sounds pretty ideal.
It does, doesn't it? And it really, really sucks you in. But it was very typical. There are other signs too. For instance, if you have someone that dates you one night a week, you get a Friday but not a Saturday, or a Saturday and not a Friday. One night weekends are a sure sign that you're not the only one that he's dating. And if you get a weeknight, if you get a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you're not even in the running.
I mean, and weekends are typically when you would spend all your time with your significant other. So
Absolutely.
That's a huge red flag right there.
That's right. Now, jerks are different though.
And how do they differ?
Jerks that, like we talked about before, just kind of happen to fall into a situation, and they're more spontaneous. So one of the signs may be if they come home late at night and they immediately go in and take a shower before they give you a hug. Or say they're going to go out and run an errand real quick. And you don't have to come. They'll just go out by themselves. If they start doing some different things in their life, like start working out, or buy a new wardrobe, or get a new cologne scent.
Right. Who are you doing these changes for?
Right. There's usually a reason. So those are like little signs that you can pick up on a jerk. But watch out for, I mean, all of them you should watch out for, definitely. But the thing is, I don't want people to get the idea that all men out there are going to be jerks or players, and you have to look out for every single thing and be suspicious.
Right.
Because trust is the fundamental foundation of every relationship. And a lot of people have asked me, how can you trust after you've been hurt so many times? And to me, it's easy, because I think that love is the greatest gift that we have on earth. And you can't have love without trust. So it's really important that you trust the person you're with. And honestly, when you're with an honest guy, you'll know the difference. He'll want to introduce you to his friends. He'll want to spend his extra time with you. He'll consider you when he makes decisions.
And you won't just be this secret or feel like this alternative life.
Absolutely. You know, have your antenna up for the signals, but don't sabotage yourself. And expect that you're going to get the best. Don't settle for mediocrity. Don't settle for less than what you absolutely deserve. And we all deserve the best. We all deserve to be happy.
And a lot of us do sell ourselves short.
Absolutely. I spent my lifetime doing that.
And here you are, a completely different person.
That's true. I can spot the jerks a mile away, and I've changed a lot, particularly over the last few years. It's a whole new world.
Thank you, Cassie. I'm Anastasia Bartolucci with Point Click Shoot, and please join us for the next episode of Reeling in the Stars and final episode with author Casimclean.